creating Adam and Eve and those details. And so now we're getting on to chapter 4. Humans' eyes are opened. Of all the animals God had created, he made the serpent the most clever. One day it said to the woman, did God really say you can't eat any of the trees in the garden? She told him, no, we can eat from the other trees in the garden. It's only the tree of knowledge of good and bad that we are not allowed to eat from or touch, or we'll die. The serpent said, you won't die. God knows that as soon as you eat that fruit, your eyes will be opened and you will be just like him. You will know good and bad. She then saw that it did look like good fruit. Wanting to know everything like God does, she took some off the tree. Adam was right there with her, and they both ate. Instantly, their eyes were opened. Suddenly, they saw and understood things very differently. They realized they were naked and were instantly ashamed for the first time ever. They tied leaves together to cover themselves. Not long afterward, Adam and the woman heard God walking in the garden, so they hid themselves in some bushes. God called to them, where are you? Adam answered, I heard you coming, and I was afraid and hid because I was naked. God said, who told you that you were naked? Did you eat the fruit I told you not to eat? Adam said, it was the woman you made. She gave me the fruit and I ate. Then God said to the woman, what have you done? She replied, the serpent tricked me and I ate it. God then explained how they would all forever be changed. First, he cursed the serpent and declared a war had begun between him and the humans. The serpent would now crawl in his belly, and one human would crush the serpent's head, though doing so would bruise his heel. Second, he foretold what would happen to the woman. Your pains in childbirth would be multiplied. You'll give birth to your babies in pain. You'll want to please your husband, but he'll lord it over you. Then he foretold what Adam would experience. Because you listened to your wife instead of me, the ground is cursed. You'll struggle now to get food from the ground until the day you die. And on dying, you'll return to the ground where I took you from. Although Adam and Eve had sinned against God and each other, God still adored his humans. Moved by their shame, he killed some of his animals and used their skins to cover their nakedness. Adam then named the woman Eve, because she would become the mother of all humans that ever live. God was concerned that the humans would now eat of the tree of life and live forever, so he banished them from the garden. For the first time, Adam and Eve were vulnerable to sorrow, sickness, pain, and death. All right, recap in your own words.
The serpent was the most clever animal. That was at the very beginning.
It was.
I don't remember a whole lot.
Why is a serpent walking around? Because I don't know if I ever actually listened to the serpent, then will have to crawl on its belly, because it didn't already crawl on its belly. Did it have legs? Okay, just, you know.
Also, how can animals talk?
Right.
That's wild.
We have a talking serpent that walks around. Good start to the story, guys.
But it's the most clever animal.
Okay.
Clever, keyword.
Okay, good. We got the foundation. Then what?
Yep, convinces Eve that this tree is not bad for you. You should actually, who told you that? You should actually eat from it.
Because then you'll have the knowledge that God does. Or you'll
And you'll think like God.
think like him, yeah.
Think like him. And she goes, oh, yeah, well, why not? And then Adam
And she saw
participates.
that the fruit looked good.
The fruit looked
I
good.
can't remember how you said it, but it looked good to eat. It did look quite tasty. So she eats it,
And
and
then
Adam was right there too.
he
and
eats
he
it.
ate it too.
And then I felt the gauntlet was kind of laid after this.
Then their eyes are open, which I always wonder what that means.
Yeah.
Now they are feeling ashamed.
Yeah, they
Yes.
realize that they're naked. Goes back to the
And now
naked
they're
thing from
hiding-
last week.
And now they're hiding from God, and God's approaching Adam saying, why are you hiding from me? And Adam
Yes,
is
because they heard God
feeling-
coming. They covered themselves with fig leaves.
Yep.
They heard God coming. They hid, and then he asked. Did he not know where they were?
He knew
Was this a
it.
big mystery? And then when he asks them what they've done, does he not know what they've done? Of course he knows what they've done.
He knows.
Okay.
But he admits it. But he blames Eve.
Adam
for
blames
it.
the woman. The woman blames the serpent.
Yep.
Then they receive their punishments. Serpent now has to crawl on its belly.
Woman is
And
going to
the
have painful
punishment
childbirth.
Is rough.
It is rough.
It is rough. Like, it's not like, oh, okay, slap you on the wrist and don't do it again. It is, you will have birthing pains, and Adam, you're going to work on the ground. You're not going to be able to really enjoy it or eat from this food, and I'm actually going to now banish you from this garden.
Right, we answered Kendra's question
Yeah.
from last time, where she
life,
asked what the
tree
tree of
life.
life was. And what was it?
Gives life, like eternal life.
And
I
now there's
guess.
like a time signature on their lives where, Adam, you're going to die and you're going to go back into the ground. But then God shows compassion and sews them an outfit.
And he still,
He
what was the
adored-
word
was
that
it
was used?
adored?
Adored, I think.
He still adored them.
Yeah, that's,
Which almost feels like it's the illustration like when your child does wrong, but you still love them so much, even though they did something wrong or something against you. I just feel like so much just happened. And
It
like,
did.
That's
and
huge.
it goes from, but the story goes from like, we're rocking it, we're walking in the garden, we're eating fruit with God, and now it's like, we're banished and we're ashamed, and now they're starting to, it said they start experiencing sadness and sorrow.
right. I don't think I ever paid attention to
Yeah.
that part either.
So
They
now
didn't
there's-
even know sadness before.
Could you imagine like day 2? Like what, all of a sudden they're like starting to feel like freaking out and what's going on, and
And they've never felt that before. Like, I can't even obviously fathom never having felt sadness and then suddenly feeling it for the first time would be.
Oh, it'd be
wild.
overwhelming.
And are they overwhelmed that they're in a new terrain? Like they're not in the garden, even though they had rule over all the earth, but now they're in a land that's unknown to them, and they're experiencing all of this emotion.
Well, and did God stay in the garden? I don't know if we can answer this one, but did he stay in the garden and now they're outside of the garden and so they're not as close to him, which also feels so sad. Okay. We just go ahead with your questions or we'll just keep going with ours.
Well, that was great. Yeah, you did. Yeah, sickness, pain, and death. All right, so good. What do we learn about humans in this story?
They are curious people.
Yeah, we're curious.
They're
That's a
very
good one.
curious.
We're curious.
Write it down.
You know the saying, curiosity killed the cat.
I don't know. I just heard it.
Killed the
Thank you.
humans.
Well,
Never.
there you go.
Well, we got to go back to free will and choice because here we see evidenced the ability to
R-I-O-U-S.
choose
The wrong choice.
to obey or to choose the fruit.
We're seeing consequence.
Well, so what are we learning about humans?
No, see you.
This particular human, the woman, is swayed by what the serpent says or convinced somehow. Maybe she
Deceived.
didn't. Maybe she didn't need a lot of convincing, but she's convincible.
So humans are able to be deceived?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not infallible. They like to blame.
Yeah, I like how Adam just goes, it was my wife's fault.
And then she blames the
She
serpent.
blames-
Well, serpent's fault.
It's like everybody's
Yes,
pointing
everyone's-
fingers.
I like the phrase, "Who told you
They
you
don't
were
take
naked?"
blame? They don't take the blame?
Yeah, man.
Obviously, God
Yeah.
already knew the answer to that question.
Wait, what? What did you say?
When God says, "Who told you you were naked?" Because here's nakedness
Yeah.
again.
Let's back to the naked part.
Like, who told you? Who are you listening to? I guess is my first question. That she was listening to the wrong voice to begin with.
I almost feel like when we talked about last time, why did they even bring up nakedness to begin with? And now we're seeing the nakedness come back and then have shame tied to it. It's almost to show the giant difference that happened when they made that choice. Like,
Correct me if I'm wrong, is there any sense of remorse now when Adam
I
was
just
hiding?
was just wondering that very second. Is there
he's
any
ashamed.
regret?
Yeah, is there regret? I don't know if it said that he
know.
felt
I
regret,
don't
but
think it
he's
did.
I don't know.
feeling ashamed and he's hiding.
I don't know if shame and regret are the same
Sure.
thing.
no, not at all.
Maybe there's regret after they receive the consequences, but I don't think.
But after they did the action, I don't think they felt.
Do we have shame on there? They can
Remorse.
feel shame? 'Cause that's definitely the case.
Yeah, I just think there's this.
And then they can feel pain and sadness. That's what the end is.
There's this unboxing of all of these new emotions that they've yet to feel.
Right.
Shame and sadness and pain. And like Eve, I wonder also like when he tells Eve that you're going to give birth, because they know that their mandate is to reproduce. Was it just supposed to be painless? Was it supposed to be just a simple
It's-
process?
And
You
read,
reproduce.
your pain will be multiplied, which I don't think I've ever noticed that before either, because I thought, oh, does that mean there was some pain, and it's just more
Or
now?
is it amplified now? Does it just get worse and worse through
But
the process?
then we also learned they just discovered pain, so that makes me think that, yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, we don't know.
What do you have to contribute to this, Mark? What else should we know about humans?
They do not want to be naked anymore, right? So it's not necessarily about feeling shame, but I think it goes back to what Rachel was saying about transparency and vulnerability. They don't want to be vulnerable.
They want to hide.
They want to hide.
That's sad too.
Was there any place in the garden to hide originally, or like, I'm sure there's
From
bushes
God?
and whatnot.
No,
Yeah, but like for
but-
God, but like, yeah, did you even feel the need to hide or want to hide?
That thought did not even cross.
I think that was the point,
Their
right?
minds.
That's why they mentioned nakedness and they didn't even care about it, right? They didn't want to hide. It was all there and
Yeah.
they knew it and
Yeah.
they didn't care.
Am I allowed to jump, or should I wait on you, Mark?
It seems like, I mean, you were talking about all the human-y kind of characteristics of the snake.
Yes. Okay. So, but then he mentions a heel. Can I jump that far? Will crush the serpent,
Yeah.
but it will. the way you
I will
phrased
be
it
honest, I was so confused during
He'll
that
crush,
part.
but it will still. I think the word started with the B. I forgot what word it was. You said
Bread.
No, I heard you say he'll crush the serpent's head, but he'll still
Strike his heel.
strike his heel, but you're still going to feel something for doing that. Am I
That's
right?
what the striking
yeah,
is,
yeah,
yeah.
the strike. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
You're going to get hurt. Whoever this future human is going to be, they'll crush the serpent, so they'll kill the serpent, but it won't be an easy process. It'll still hurt
it will still hurt. Yeah, there's still going to be some pain
from
in that
process.
process. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Yeah.
I'll
what
be
are you confused
honest.
about? Yeah.
I don't understand that part. That
What
section.
brought a heel into this?
I don't.
You know,
When
what
the
is
heel
that?
was mentioned and
We're
crushing
talking
and
about their offspring, right?
Yeah.
So basically, when God is doling out consequences, the consequence to the serpent is there's going to come a day I'm going to squash you. I'm not going to flick you. I'm going to squash you, and it will be through the offspring of this man and this woman that they will conquer you through their offspring.
So someday
but
they're
not
gonna
the
have, yeah.
serpent specifically. The actual serpent itself, because it doesn't say.
It's
That it's
It says
Satan.
the serpent.
Well, he doesn't say that it's serpent. I mean, it's Satan, right? But
Yeah.
it's the concept of the offspring of the humans is against the concept of what's behind the serpent.
Right,
And how does
that's the right
Satan
way to
have the
say it.
power to like embody in an animal? Like, do you realize that? Like, he's now an animal. He was an angel.
No,
and
no,
then
no.
he got
There's nothing
flicked.
that doesn't say anything about that in the story.
I was wondering where you got the Satan became an animal.
Yeah.
Theology by
There's the
Tony.
serpent.
Remember,
I don't know the Bible. I've never read it before. Sorry.
the Bible doesn't say that the serpent is Satan,
But the serpent.
at least in this story yet.
Okay, so let's talk it out though, because I think you're onto something in that the serpent opposes God's people, appears to
Yeah.
oppose God, is trying to usurp God's power. I don't know, maybe that's a stretch, but is trying to divert the humans' trust in God. Maybe that's the way to say it.
Just cause
And-
chaos, maybe.
Yeah.
At least disrupt that relationship.
Yes. So this is.
There's
This
a clear
is-
war here.
Yeah, we know that a war was started from the very first story.
Yeah.
And we know that 1/3 of those that opposed God were flicked out of heaven. Doesn't really say where they're flicked to.
To the earth.
Okay. Okay, good. There we go. So we are making this connection piece of this is part of the opposing force to God. Is that the right way to say it?
So it feels like this is Satan's move now. It's like his attack this is like true warfare now starting to
Yes.
unravel itself.
So, just to clarify, back to the heel statement, was it talking about the literal serpent, like that the serpent would be crushed?
No.
Or was that a metaphor for something bigger?
Yes.
I'm just posing
Good job.
that for.
No, but
That's the right question to
that's
ask.
a
Yeah.
great question. Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just reading a story going,
Is it
wow,
literal?
that's weird.
Yeah.
Well, it has to be a metaphor because there's no offspring for the humans yet, right? And so God is talking about this offspring in the future that's going to basically crush the offspring of the serpent
I
in the
also
future.
love, side note, like God speaking metaphorically through this story. Like I think that's just really cool that he's not being so literal and like direct, but in that, the first story we heard was poetic. So like,
But go back to, he could have just squashed the serpent right there.
yeah.
And if the serpent represents the opposing forces, he's certainly powerful enough to squash the opposition. But yet he allows them, again, this comes back to, I've never picked up this thread before, but this, like, God has all the control, but he has allowed some of that control by choice and will to be given away. Not that he's less in control, but he is not controlling.
But it's starting to feel like I'm getting frustrated. It's like when you watch a movie and you see the girl walk out of the house and she
Don't
goes
go
into
in
the
there,
woods.
don't
You're
go,
like, don't go in there. What are
don't
you doing? And then here we are again. God is allowing something to happen. And you're like, why don't you just stop it right then and there?
Well, there's a good question right there. Why doesn't he stop it?
Yeah.
Why didn't he stop it?
Why do you think he didn't stop it?
I
What
actually don't
happens
know.
if he does
yeah.
stop it?
Yeah, that's a good question. If he does stop it, we put the child back in the padded room and say,
Yeah, I was like, then
I'm
there
not
goes the
gonna
free
let
will.
you make the bad choice.
It comes back to free will.
Yep.
It really does.
Everything feels like it comes back to free
That's
will.
been the recurring theme over all 4 weeks now.
But now we're to the point where, okay, I'm just going to think out loud. Now we're to the point where the free will is going to directly impact the relationship that the creation has with the creator. So humans and God. And so this makes my mind think, what is love? Because if God is relational, we'll start with relational, and he desires to be in relationship with his creation, but his creation could potentially make a choice that will harm that relationship, and he were to prevent that, then he didn't give them the choice to be in relationship. So there can't be real relationship. It's called slavery if you're not allowed to make the choice to be in the relationship. And this is not a God that is enslaving people. This is a God who is giving the choice to be in relationship, and even still to today.
And if there's no consequences to those choices, then you don't have that choice anyways. You're still the slave.
Yeah.
You have to have consequences. You gonna say something?
No.
You look like
That
you
was
say
good.
something. Why does the serpent want to trick the humans?
Yes.
Stinking serpent.
I think he's just trying to get to God. So to get to God, he gets to the humans. I don't think he's on the level of God or that he can physically reach God. So he goes, okay, well, I'll go for the thing that God cares for the most. That what we heard last week was he adored the humans. So he's going for the thing that God adores and cares for. Just a jab to get at God.
And because God can't be convinced to do he can't be convinced to do wrong or bad. But the thing that has free will, that God has given free will to, has the power to make the wrong choice, maybe, or oppose God. And so it would make sense why the serpent would target the human rather than an animal or a tree or the water.
Like, what's the worst thing an animal is going to do?
Well, and we have to define this, remind ourselves of the serpent representing, I guess, this opposition towards God. We don't read anywhere so far in the story that God made more creation that opposed him. This was original, beginning story, 1/3 of the angels that opposed God and were flicked out of heaven. So this has to be a representation or one of those created ones that opposed God. So that original story told us the captain of them all, Satan, wanted the adoration or the attention or the praise or wanted to be like God, wanted to have what God had. So, yes, put me in the center, do what I say, follow me. That was really hard to get out.
Yeah.
That was a lot of words that didn't want to organize into coherent sentences.
No, but I go back, though. I kind of feel like I'm still on the frustrated note because we have this beautiful story that's been unraveling the last few weeks of like God creating this world and it's good and people and reproduction, all these awesome things that are happening. And then the serpent just has to has to step into the picture and ruin it. Just ruined it all. Like, and not just ruined it, but
But did the serpent ruin it all? I think that's...
or was it Eve and Adam?
Did the serpent ruin it? The serpent highlighted a choice that always was there. They always had the choice whether or not they would listen to what
Great
God
point.
said.
Yeah.
Serpent sucks.
Well, he did deceive, right? There had to be some kind of a deception there.
Sure, he maybe made it more tantalizing.
Well, he counteracted what God said that was going to happen, right? The consequences. Like, you're not going to die. You're just going to become like God, right? And he goes, oh, okay, I'm not going to die.
Also, why did Eve add to... Because from the story, we know that God said, don't eat this or you'll die today. Why did she say we're not supposed to eat it or touch it? I thought that was interesting. I don't know that anyone has an answer to that. Just thought I'd point that out for fun.
It is interesting. Yeah. It also shows that humans too can be manipulated like the angels in the first one. It's interesting.
Well, they always had the choice to listen to what God said and obey it. Whether the serpent...
But when the serpent made it more enticing almost.
But that goes
They
back to
changed their
God's
mind.
question of like, who told you this? Why are you... To me, it's like, who are you listening to?
Which is
I already told
the
you what
manipulation
you needed
piece.
to know. Yeah.
Because they didn't just trust God and that what he said was how it was. They were able to listen and let another thing influence their decisions.
Is there something we're missing, Mark? I feel like there's something you're
No, this is
waiting to
all-
drop on us here.
This is all good, yeah, for sure. What do you think was the real appeal to Adam and Eve to take this fruit?
Rachel, can you look over at those notes and tell us?
I'm trying to sneak a
Can we
peek.
rule out boredom? I feel like they had a lot to do. Like they were busy.
Yeah.
They were working.
What did they think that they were missing, right?
Yeah, like what? They're doing this, like,
Yeah.
how long have they been around? Like a week at this point? Like,
We don't
already
know.
bored?
We don't know.
Maybe just knowledge.
It doesn't say.
Yeah.
Curious. They're
That's so
probably
true.
like, we're missing something, obviously. Probably just wanting to know what's up, like, with this thing that we can't have. I mean, like, they know they're not supposed to, but might as well try it out, I guess. If it's not, like, that bad of a consequence. Not actually dying, I guess. He just made it seem like more of a fun thing.
Was there rebellion against God, though, that they wanted to be more and more like God and less like humans?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, that's how Eve buys into the lie. Like, you'll become more like God if you do this.
Yep. Like they were missing out on something.
Yeah, like, yeah. Yeah, like, why him, not us? Yeah.
What they said.
All right, covered that one already. What was God's initial response to Adam right after he had disobeyed?
What have you done?
You went looking for him.
Oh, good job.
You
You're
went looking
right.
for him.
Good job.
I
Yeah,
think
he said,
that's-
where are you?
Yeah.
Where are you comes first.
I think that says something about God's nature.
What does it say about his nature?
He knew Adam had sinned against him. Can I say sinned against? Is that like, or had wronged him?
He disobeyed.
He disobeyed.
Yeah.
I don't know if like I'm allowed to say that yet, but he disobeyed, but he still sought out Adam to reconcile.
Patient or
Yeah. Like, and Adam wasn't like, oh, I sinned against God, I better go find him. He hid. I think there's some
Well, so then we start building more attributes of God because
Right.
he pursued the disobedient child. He bridged the distance. He went, I mean, we know from the story he's going to go provide for him to bring him back into a right relationship in some way.
He wants
So-
reconciliation.
Yes, reconciliation is so powerful that God is the reconciler. That's so powerful.
and that he still adored them at the end of
Yep.
all this.
Yep. Okay, so there we get the love piece too.
Okay, spell reconciliation for Kendra.
Recon.
RECONCILLIATION. Or whatever.
Recon.
Spell check
Sil,
that.
CIL.
CIL.
Just leave it like that. Just put a period.
Eashon.
IA.
Yes, good job.
ASHUN.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, that's fine.
EST.
We get what you mean.
I think that's good.
That's good. You actually got it.
And we have to put, is love the right word? Adoration. He adored them.
Yeah.
He loved them
Adores humans.
deeply. He
Adores.
deeply loved them.
I don't know if is love a thing yet.
Well,
Adores is love, right?
yeah.
Can we say
But-
that he's a God of initiative, or he took initiative?
Yeah, I think that bridge the gap
Yeah.
piece, which is part of reconciliation.
It is kind of crazy to me that he didn't just the minute
takes the
Adam messed up
initiative?
go. I know
Smite
what
him.
you did, or like
Yeah, why didn't he hit the reset
instead he just acted like, oh, where are you?
Well,
As if he doesn't know exactly where
and
he
asked,
is.
he asked him, he asked questions. Like, where are you and what have you done? Those aren't, maybe we need to think about the different ways you could ask those questions. Because you could ask, where are you? Or you could say, where are you? You left where you were supposed to be.
Yeah.
Or you can say, oh, what have you done? Or you can say, what have you done?
And it almost is him giving Adam a chance to admit what he had done
Yeah.
instead of just calling him out.
or
He's
like fully understand it.
Which he didn't
Yeah.
admit what he had done. So now we know that humans don't like to own. Did we already say that? Yeah, they don't take
Don't take
they
ownership.
don't take blame or ownership. They don't own their
Yeah.
mistakes.
Their failures.
At least not yet.
But they still have this sense of responsibility, which is kind of interesting. They don't want to own their mistakes, but they still have to take care of the things that God's entrusted them with.
They want to be in charge,
Yeah.
but they don't like the mistakes.
You want the badge, but you don't want the work to get there. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and if we go even to the very end where God kills animals, which we have not yet seen that
Yeah.
in the story. There has not been death. There's not been
Yep.
He didn't even kill the angels.
There has not been payment by an innocent creature for the mistake of a human or anybody or
That's
anything.
true. Like death has not.
So
been
that
thing at all
willingness to the sacrifice of life to cover the disobedience or the mistake or the sin, whatever you want to call it, of these people. I mean, to me, that is just even greater, shows the love and the adoration. But also, that's a really big churchy word of redemption, but that
But didn't cover their sin, right?
it covered their
solve the
nakedness.
problem.
Correct. You're right. Maybe it's a shade to come of some sort of sacrifice for payment.
Whoa.
It is. If that's the first death of an animal. Someone asked me one time, when do people start eating animals? Because no animals
We're not there yet.
have been killed yet. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of, though, foreshadowing in this story that something's going to have to happen now in the lineage. So there's going to have to be this big moment where one of the descendants of Adam and Eve does something about this and really settles the score and crushes the serpent once and for all.
Yeah. He prophesies it right here.
Yeah.
what is the attribute of God that makes him kill those animals and clothe the humans?
Mercy, grace, love.
Yeah, he doesn't let them sit in their shame.
Right. He's like, oh, those are kind of crappy clothes. Let me make you some better clothes.
And not even that. He just say, you know what? Suffer. Go sit in your nakedness and feel ashamed for it.
Right.
Well,
Let
if
me-
the definition of grace is giving what is not deserved, then that is an incredibly gracious act.
And made them an outfit. Like,
Yeah.
Gracious.
can you imagine the type of outfit God would make you rather than what you made?
Right.
I'll take it.
That's going to last
Also,
a
can
while.
we just bring up a point? Because I was thinking, well, the definition of mercy is not giving someone what they do deserve, and they were told, you will die today. Which, have we talked about that yet?
I was actually
Nobody died
thinking-
today.
Wow.
I mean, they were given the you will die, you won't live forever. So was that metaphorical?
Yeah, was
It's
it?
like their spirit died or something.
How come they didn't drop dead?
That is true.
mean-
He let them keep living.
The serpent said that they wouldn't die, and they didn't.
Oh. Oh.
Whoa.
Wait, so he was
So, like,
right.
spiritual death, not
The serpent didn't technically
not like
lie.
physical. I don't know.
The serpent didn't technically lie, but does that mean God lied?
No.
He told them that they would die today.
Oh, he said today.
Yes.
Was that in last
did.
week's?
Yes.
Yeah. You will die that day.
They changed.
Maybe it wasn't a physical death, but
That's what Kendra just said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe it's a spiritual death.
Yeah.
Do we know the answer to this? Another can of worms has just been opened.
Yeah, I'm.
I
When
think
is
you need to go
episode
back to
5?
the Hebrew.
Heat
and-
worms.
yeah.
Wait, lead us, Mark.
Worms are like small little
How can
serpents.
you help us navigate our way through that one?
What I think, and I might be totally wrong, but God says that you will die, and the Satan says you won't be killed. So there's actually two different die words here, and Abe goes, "Oh, I'm not going to get killed? Great." And God didn't say I'm not going to kill you. God didn't say I'm going to kill you. He just says you're going to die.
Every episode, there has to be one moment where my brain breaks. That was it.
So were humans going to live on forever and ever and ever and ever and ever?
Well, they were allowed to eat from
Yeah.
the tree of life, eternal life. That was the tree that was okay.
Which means that
Wait, so
Yeah.
when he said they had to leave the garden because he didn't want them to live forever, why didn't he want them to live forever now? Because they would live forever making bad choices? They would live forever broken? They would live forever doing bad things? I'm guessing. I'm
Yeah.
not actually saying something I know.
this in this broken state, I guess it's just there's no chance for redemption if they don't actually physically die.
Why?
I don't know.
That one's gonna bother me. That bothers me. I'm gonna need to work through that one. I'm not gonna sleep tonight. Thanks a lot.
My brain can't even.
Somebody please
soak in
get on
anything else at
Google
this
right
point.
now and search commentaries to answer that question for me. Thank you very much.
But they can't go to heaven if they don't die. And I guess heaven's now the only place that's like perfect and with God. Because like they can't be in the garden anymore. And so, I mean, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I guess,
Yeah, no, there's a big difference now between
There's no
the
heaven yet,
earth and
well, with God. Like the angels are with God.
Yeah, I mean, just saying the story doesn't say anything about the afterlife so far, right? Nothing.
Well, death hasn't really happened yet. So
Right, yeah.
To be continued.
Wow. Well, I don't know how we even end this one. But you must know.
I know what? The end?
Nobody knows anything
How
at
do
all.
we even leave that? How do we leave this conversation? It's so undone.
there's so much tension.
There's
with
so
everything.
yeah, there is. There's tension and there's so much unsettled.
There's more story, remember? There's more
Well,
story.
okay, fair enough.
So there's
we have next time.
it'll be a story of this God and using these attributes, right? Pursuing humans. We still have to get to the prophecy, right? The prophecy that God just spelled out. Like what does that actually mean, right?
Yeah.
How does God fix this problem?
Yeah, we got a big problem on our hands now.
For sure.
This
Honestly,
serpent.
Humans are just going to make it worse over and over. Well, with that, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you have questions, comments,
Or if you feel bad for us,
insights.
please send gifts.
Right. Any more attributes that we missed, feel free to put those in the comments, and we will put them on the board for next time or whatever. We'll try to engage as well in the comments as well. So thanks again.